Hey everyone, National Master Sean Lei here, and sorry for not uploading so often. This week has been a hectic week, but today I have an exciting video for you as I'll be teaching you what a critical position is and why that is very critical for your chess development. Let's get straight into it. Alright. So what is a critical position in chess? Now, if you've seen some of my previous videos before, you might have heard me mention a critical position, whether it be in my speedrun video or when to think in chess video. Now, as a recap, a critical position in chess is basically the first moment in the chess game that you really should, spend maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on how long you have left on your clock, to basically think of a good move. Now, when is a critical position? What is an example? Well, it's really hard for me to come up with an example of a critical position because a critical position for each player, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether it's Magnus Carlsen, is going to be different. And so a critical position, everybody, is just the first moment, again, that you have no idea what is happening, and basically you get out of your opening preparation. So for some of you, it could be once your opponent plays f4, you're on the black side, and you're like, I've never seen this bird's defense opening before. What in the world should I do? It could be on move 15. It could be after, entire Sicilian Najdorf theory, and you're like, okay, I remember all of this. And you guys just play this all out. Boom, boom, boom. Queen d2, castles, f3, bishop e6. You might have memorized 3,000 moves like this. And then maybe this is the moment that you don't know what to do, because all you remembered is only knight to e8, and then once your opponent plays h4, you don't know what to do anymore. This could be a critical position. It could be 14 moves in. It could be 20 moves in. It could be 25 moves in. Now, why is it so important to be able to identify what a critical position is? Well, the reason why this is so important, why it's crucial for your chess development, is because I see so many people, whether it be a beginner, intermediate, even advanced player, maybe even a titled player. I've seen so many people, they rush their chess games, and in the opening just go through the motions of playing random moves until they get to a favorable middle game. Now you might be thinking, what? There's no way strong players do that, but it happens. For example, let me show you an example in which I played against a 2300 rated FIDE master in an over-the-board tournament in which it was an hour 30 minutes each, and my opponent decided to rush against my Philidor. Now, if you guys haven't checked out or know about the Philidor, I definitely urge you guys to check out my Philidor series, as that is one of my favorite openings and one of my secret weapons, even against the top chess players. And so here my opponent played d4, I play here, they played pawn f4, they played knight f3, I played knight bd7, they played f4, and as you guys know, this is what we call the scary variation in quotation marks, because if black knows what they're doing, they're pretty fine. And so in this position I captured here, and if you really think about it, if you're going on autopilot and you played like openings like the Sicilian defense, the first thing that comes to mind for you guys is just knight captures here, right? Because this is very normal. But the thing is, my opponent here didn't really think, and instead they just automatically play knight takes d4, even though this is not the best move. Instead, queen takes d4 is best. Now, why is this a problem? Well, in this position, if my opponent had thought for a little bit more, they could have already gotten a slight advantage going into the middle game. Instead, they gave black equalize, they let black equalize, and then it make it so much harder for them to win. So if I was playing on the white side here, and I've never seen this opening before, because the Philidor is not very common, I would just stop and think. I haven't seen this before. Maybe there's something I can do. Maybe I don't have to capture on d4. Maybe I can play knight b5. So this is when I would spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just recalibrate my brain and start thinking. What is my plan? I don't just want to know what move I want to play. I want to know what plan I want to make. So in this position, I would stop and think and be like, hey, my opponent doesn't have the center very much. So maybe if I can break through the center and maybe create a lot of threats against my opponent's center, then maybe I can win the game from there. And so if I were white, I would think, okay, e5 is the pawn push I want to do because it disrupts the knight and it makes everything very annoyed. And so I would probably take with the queen because e5 seems like a pretty big threat. I mean, what does black do in this position? So as you guys can tell, it's very confusing for black to get out of this if they don't know what they're doing, right? And so queen takes d4 just puts a lot more pressure and gives you the initiative. If you just take with a knight, well then black can just do whatever they want. They can play knight c5, they can play pawn g6. Why? Because e5's not really coming in. And so in that game, my opponent actually just played knight f3 back immediately, realizing his mistake and basically giving black a pretty decent game going into the middle game, which black shouldn't really be getting against strong opponents like him. And so, how do we identify a critical position? It's very simple. I don't know how much opening preparation you guys have done in the past or how much theory you guys know going out of the opening, but basically, know a couple systems, know a couple openings, and basically just play it out and basically get into a position in which you're like, okay, I don't know what to do. I know what the opening ideas are since you guys played the same openings over and over and over again, whether it be the Rai Lopez, Benko's Gambit, Italian game, no matter what it is. You should know the basic structures. But once your opponent plays a novelty, something you're not too wary of, that's when you can spend 10 minutes. That's when you can spend 20 minutes on a single move. Now, so many people, they come to me and they're like, Sean, how do you think for an hour in a single move? And the reason why I think for an hour for a single move is because I'm calculating what is my plan, what do I want to do. It's not just one move I care about. It's the future endeavors I want to have in a position. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're playing white and you're playing e4. Let's say your opponent plays pawn e6. You play d4, d5, e5. And all of a sudden your opponent plays not c5 in this position, but they play a move like knight c6. So since this is something you haven't seen before, it's good time for you to think, because a quote that is very, very, very good is that bad moves in chess become good moves if you don't take advantage of them. Bad moves, let me repeat, are good moves if you don't take advantage of them. So how do we take advantage of this knight c6 move? Well, then you have to think, why is c5 the most common move in this position? And the reason why is because it puts pressure on your d4 pawn. So now that you think about that, you're like, wait a second, my opponent can't pressure the d4 pawn. That means my opponent doesn't have a plan anymore, which means I can just continue my onslaught against the king side without any worry whatsoever. I can play pawn c3, just protect the pawn a little bit more, and like c5's not coming. So let's say they play knight here. I suddenly realize, well, who holds all the cards? I hold all the cards, right? So I can even take it slowly on the king side because my opponent's queen side attack that they normally would have is just not there anymore. I can play f4 here. I can play knight f3. I can really play anything. Well, I can't play here because I just realized queen here would be very annoying. So let's just play knight f3, right? And so I can slowly build up. I realize this position is not a position I need to rush in. My kingside attack is still in play. I know I'm doing a kingside attack because that's a normal French defense setup for white. And this is just better for me. And so I identify what's different from this in a normal position and take advantage from there. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions about what a critical position is in chess, or how to think about this, or what variations to calculate after you get into a critical position, tell me in the comment section below. I'll be sure to answer. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.